Mortal Sin is a first-person, combo-driven dismemberment arena roguelike that, as you can tell, looks like a box of crayons got drunk and vomited all over an Elder Scrolls game. But, before you listen to your instincts and say, wait a minute, this is just Steam slop, why are you making a video about this crap? Just give me a chance to explain. Yes, Mortal Sin has a pretty basic gameplay loop of moving from arena to arena in a randomized order and uses what I assume are pre-made assets, but it has the sauce. Trust me. It feels good to play, slicing your enemies limb from limb never gets old, and there's enough depth and challenge to keep you coming back over and over again. I've played over 35 hours of Mortal Sin as of the time of this writing, and I've still never beaten a run. That's not a condemnation, that's a feature in my eyes. It's like Noida. You have to understand the game and its mechanics before you can even approach the notion of beating it. You have to earn that win. That is not to say that there isn't some real bullshit to be found. Some enemies are a little unfair, losing focus for even a second can end your run, and sometimes you get just plain fucked on the perks and items you find. I'm a little more forgiving as this was made by what I assume to be a solo dev, and what they made is pretty damn good for what it is. Anyone can spend a week learning Unreal and slapping together some store assets, but it takes actual vision and an understanding of game design to make something that sticks. Is Mortal Sin the best or most unique roguelike out there? God no. But it's competent and fun, and in a world of sloppy Steam games and indie developers, that can be a rare thing to encounter. I have only heard one person ever mention this game, and that was where I found out about it. I feel like it is criminal that this game is so overlooked, and I want to correct this. You start each run by picking a class, each one giving you access to a unique ability, some starting perks, and a list of weapon types that you can find on the run. Each class is wildly different, even the ones that would seem similar, like Gladiator and Duelist. Gladiator is all about aggression and being in the thick of it, while Duelist is more about setting up for combos and dancing in and out of combat, for example. You begin with only a few choices, but as you get further and further and gain more experience, you get access to more classes and more weapon types for each one. You also unlock small bonuses like carrying over more gold onto the next run or additional potion capacity. You can flail around wildly and you'll probably get decently far, but Mortal Sin has a combo system, with each class having several to choose from. You execute combos by chaining together attacks, kicks, bashes, charge sweeps, and your ability, getting unique animations, boosted damage, and sometimes waves that can wipe entire groups at the end of a chain. There is the option to turn on auto combos to help new players, but I would honestly suggest you learn the hard way. Having combos memorized and stored in muscle memory is an advantage that really carries you further than just letting the game take control. It's also far more satisfying. You can parry enemy attacks as well, a vital combat tool that rewards successful parries with a free charged sweep. Beyond that, it prevents damage, and with the immediate retort, they are a necessary thing when outnumbered. If you're someone like me who can't parry for shit in Dark Souls, don't worry. Mortal Sin gives you a heads up with a little marker to tell you an attack is coming. You still have to nail the timing, but it helps immensely for the reaction challenged. Paired alongside the combat system is enemy dismemberment, the various ways you can take apart your foes. Cut off their legs and they can no longer move. Rip off their arms and they are left with only very basic attacks. Decapitate them and they can no longer target you, instead flailing about wildly and possibly injuring their friends. It's addictive to do so, blood exploding out of their broken bodies as limbs fly in all directions. Hit a large group of foes with the explosive end of a larger combo and watch as they all disintegrate into bloody mist that sprays all over the room. It's good shit. Your main form of progression is through equipment and perks, with perks using mana from one of your armor pieces every time they activate. This necessitates careful consideration, as just stacking perks on the same thing can drain it very quickly and render those bonuses moot. Weapons in particular can really be mana hogs when you start buffing them, so I try to keep things limited as you are attacking a lot and each one incurs drain. You really want to spread out that consumption or you'll be guzzling down mana potions like Badland chugs. There are 4 levels to run through in any order you wish, each with their own features and enemy roster. The dungeon is narrow corridors and large arenas filled with traps that features a mix of melee and ranged units with extra tanky elites. It's probably the easiest of the levels when viewed objectively, but it can still get you when you let your guard down. The caves have no ranged pests, but do include summoners who can overwhelm you if left unchecked, and elites with a deceptively long reach. In addition, enemies here can leave a damaging puddle of poison when they die, further limiting the area you can move around in. The forest has a mix of units, melee, ranged, and summoners, and features some of the more annoying elites, making it the second hardest level in my opinion. It also features a specific, highly damaging trap that I've gotten killed by more than a few times when I walked into it on accident. The hardest level by design is the pirate ship, filled with tough foes, several of whom are ranged, and arenas designed to trip you up with traps and corners. To offset the added danger, this area offers extra gold to pick up, and enemies have a chance to drop chests with extra loot. No matter which order you play them in, each level has 3 difficulty variants depending on the order: A, B, and C. Each one gets progressively more difficult and can make the more challenging zones downright brutalizing if visited on C difficulty. Not only are enemies stronger, but more of them spawn, filling areas with hordes that you must cut through. By difficulty C, larger arenas will become slaughtering grounds where you either hack your way through the fodder like you're mowing the lawn, or get pummeled to oblivion from all sides. I cannot overstate how insane it can get sometimes, especially when summoners are replacing all the freaks you kill as fast as you kill them. The final level is a gauntlet full of elites in tiny areas that challenge your competency in all areas of the game. I've never beaten it myself, though I have gotten to it many times, and even gotten quite close to the end. Is it a little too hard, perhaps? Maybe. But it's a good final challenge, and make sure you learn the core elements of the game in order to tackle it properly. At the start of a run and in between levels, you'll be in the hub, a place where you can buy potions, perks, and items, or just boost yourself with sin levels. Sin levels give all your stats a small boost, making you all around better for a large cost. Elites and certain boosted enemies can also drop sin levels as a reward for defeating them. Sin levels are one of the best forms of progression, and you should consider accruing them whenever possible. The incremental boosts really add up when you've got 12 of them, and can be the difference between feeling like a god of war and a tortured soul. The hub also includes an NPC who holds and distributes bonuses you earn from completing challenges scattered throughout the level. Things like upgrading armor, giving you new weapons, or removing a curse. She also tells you the lore of the game, though it's fairly sparse and not really that important. The more challenges you complete, the more she has to say, though the progression in this aspect is very slow. Finally, the hub has a hardcore challenge arena, just in case the base experience wasn't punishing enough. It offers powerful equipment as a reward, but as I generally struggle with C difficulty alone, I rarely ever bother with it outside of runs I don't feel will get too far. Like I said earlier, it's not exactly that complicated. Mortal Sin has a few meta rewards and relies on you wanting to engage with the main loop for the entertainment it offers. Thankfully, that's a pretty compelling reason to keep playing, at least for me. A good roguelike should have some depth to its gameplay, but you can also have too much. A million things to unlock and endless systems to engage with and max out could be just as much of a detriment as a feature. When it feels like a job, you engage with it like a job, and joy diminishes with perceived responsibility. But describing Mortal Sin, and even watching it, doesn't really convey how it feels to play. It's like the combat of something like Darktide. You need to experience it yourself to understand why it's so appealing. The combination of elements, the feedback, the flow state you can enter, all of it really pops when you're deep in a run. You go from struggling to trying, and suddenly the impossible seems possible with the right moves and little luck. The potential is there, you just have to meet it. As you have certainly already noticed, Mortal Sin hurts the eyes. Utilizing 2-color filters, it looks almost abstract and muddy, like you're wading through a polluted body of water as you fight. This aesthetic is definitely to hide the fact that most of the assets are pre-made and look slightly out of place with each other normally. But it's a good fix and gives it personality. It makes levels feel larger and more dangerous than they are, allows for instant identification of foes and items, and can be tailored to your preferences. You can even turn it off and adopt a more natural filter if your eyes hurt too much. There are a number of visual options to reduce the ocular strain, which is a nice addition and something necessary in a game that chooses to be so bold in how it presents itself. Not a necessity, but something that shows the developer was aware of this fact and wanted to give players some control over it. I find that the music in the game is one of the areas most lacking, and one that I usually fix myself. I just put on my own tunes, which can really elevate the mood. Obviously, I can't show you, as a copyright assassin would kick down my door, so here's a recreation with some license-free music. As they are a major component of the game and the major player choice, I'll briefly go over the classes I have unlocked. Some are definitely more gimmicky than others, but so far all of them seem to be equally viable. The Struggler is like the Wretch in Dark Souls and has what I consider a weaker ability, giving you extra combo meter. It does, however, have access to all the weapon types, which allows for some crazy combinations. The jack-of-all-trades approach unfortunately leaves your combos a little bare bones on this one. The Gladiator is, as mentioned previously, all about aggression. You have a damaging war cry that stuns enemies and get to wield sword and board type weapons and big, slow hammers. You are expected to be in the thick of it and using your combos to kill efficiently. The Berserker is a similarly aggressive class, though this one wields enormous slow weapons and focuses on sweep attacks. You have a charge ability that lets you get right up in an enemy's face with a short invincibility period, and all your attacks deal crazy high damage, though they have long wind-ups to consider. The Paladin is like a more defensive gladiator, with an ability that buffs your blocking and bashing to shoot projectiles. It also has the highest health in the game, allowing you to take many more hits. The Duelist is all about dual weapons and has an ability that just gives you a free charged sweep attack. You are expected to weave this into combos and maximize them for devastating returns. Parrying is also a powerful tool, as you can use the counterattack sweep in the same manner. Spin to win. The Hunter is the stealth option, though that is stretching the definition of the word quite a bit. You wield a long-range spear and can turn invisible, prioritizing precise dismembering strikes from a distance. Think of it like being the sniper rifle of melee classes. The Martyr comes loaded with 6 random curses out of the box, and an ability that boosts damage based on the number of them you have. This makes the class a high-risk, high-reward type that leads to some really chaotic and unfair bullshit. Not a class I particularly enjoy, though I can see the potential in it. The Monk is all about punching stuff, with an ability that delivers a ridiculously good fisting, but is kind of hard to land. Like the Duelist, you need to rely on your combos and choosing when to engage. You do start with the better kick perk, so you really feel like you're kicking ass from the start. The pirate is the only non-magic class with ranged attacks, getting pistols and scimitars and dual pistols for that John Woo feel. Like the hunter, you are expected to land precise shots, though the pirate's ability is a crowd-wiping bomb to make up for this. I've found this class to be tricky as managing the alternating melee and ranged attacks, or the range-exclusive ones, requires very delicate footwork. The Reaper is a glass cannon that busts out a saw to chew through enemies with your ability, and starts with a perk that launches spinning axes with your attacks. It takes some getting used to, but you can really wreck crowds once you get down the combos and proper positioning of your attacks. The Mage is pretty self-explanatory. Your attacks consume less mana and you wield staffs that cast spells. There's a variety here, from ranged projectiles to crowd control, so pick your poison. You can also stop time, freezing everything but you for a few seconds and allowing a window to really wail on foes or set up combos. The Warlock is a bit of a strange duck, being a mage that focuses on parries to fuel your spells. That is your bread and butter, even though your ability allows you to cast your equipped staff spells for free. The class definitely feels a bit more one note compared to the others, but being able to saturate an area in magical damage is pretty cool. Finally, the Vampire is another risk-reward class where you gamble with your life. Attacks shoot out damaging blood orbs that cost you health, which you recoup mostly from your ability, which restores health on your next attack. You also get no health potions, which only adds to the need to be careful and precise. I really don't gel with the Vampire in all honesty, and it is my least played class by far. There are 3 other classes that I haven't seen yet that are gated by requirements revolving around beating a run under certain conditions. The Stalker appears to be a crowd control glass cannon, the Hoarder is all about those fat stacks, and the Enigma seems to be a crazy wild card type. So, we finally reach the penultimate question. Is mortal sin worth your time and money? That's a hard one to answer. There are many things that may turn someone off from it. Maybe the visuals are too harsh. Maybe the steep and punishing difficulty curve is too sadistic. Maybe the meta rewards are too limited or lacking. I can't answer that for you. What I can say is how I see the game. I enjoy it as a regular distraction that's hard to beat, something I can peck away at without worrying about progression. You make progress by playing the game and getting better at it. You play it because it is fun and satisfying to engage with. There is enough to master and learn that you won't run it dry in short order, but the onus of getting better is entirely in your hands. This is not Hades, where you buff your runs with unlocks. You need to actually get good to get further. You play Mortal Sin for the sake of playing it, for the glory of battle and the test of your abilities. It is a digital Valhalla, a place where you can shed blood and challenge yourself. You will not find a deep or compelling story. You will not find incentive for endless hours of play after beating it, and it will not redefine any genres or game concepts. But that's fine. It doesn't need to do those things. It just has to be enjoyable. Games are art, and this one is a look into someone's idea of a particular experience. There is a vision here, executed well and with admirable results. That alone puts it above the AAA boardroom pitches, hacked together learning experiences, and asset flip scams that populate so much of the gaming space these days. Mortal Sin is the perfect example of a game being just right for what it is. It is a rough gem in a sea of slop and slime, and I do hope the developer can go on to create more of their art. I like what I've seen so far, and I would like to see more. If not a sequel, perhaps something just as eye-catching and fun. You've got the sauce. Mix it well.